standard of how what people feel about Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson is that Teofimo Lopez is up here and Shakur Stevenson up here in terms of standard, in terms of what you expect from Shakur and Teo. Because if Teo would have performed like that versus William Cepeda, they would have been like, that's mediocrity. Yo, Teofimo Lopez, why you ain't knock him out? He's not a world champion. He never beat a world champion. He was nobody. Who's William Cepeda at the end of the day? But for Shakur Stevenson, that's his best performance. Teofimo Lopez.
Hold on. We're not going to say that was his best performance. We're going to say that you asked me, what do you think is his biggest win to date? Now,
Okay.
when you talk about best performances, I would have to go through his list. I'm sure he's outclassed guys where he didn't even barely get hit and he won clearly. But we all know that the boxing casual doesn't appreciate boxing's skill set. What they want is knockouts. So people fall in love with the big punchers. That's why everybody was going for Canelo. That's why everybody likes Teofimo Lopez, because you know he's got dynamite in those hands. But when you see a guy with a lesser power punch still able to go in a pocket and perform when everybody felt that he couldn't do that, that's what's impressive about the situation. So we have to remember that Shakur Stevenson isn't a big puncher, but he can still beat big punchers. We watched Floyd Mayweather do that throughout his whole career, and now we appreciate Floyd Mayweather, or some still don't, but I appreciate Floyd Mayweather as one of the greatest fighters that ever laced a pair of gloves, and he wasn't a big puncher. So we have to remember that not all great fighters are big punchers.
As Pretty Boy Floyd, because you know in boxing, Floyd Mayweather was so great that we look at him as two people. Floyd, let's be real, coach. Floyd Mayweather was so great that we look at him like two different type of Hall of Fame fighters. Pretty Boy Floyd and Money May. Money May is a defensive fighter that played it safe, didn't take too many risks. Pretty Boy Floyd was a whole different type of fighter. Pretty Boy Floyd ain't no Shakur Stevenson. Let's be real, let's be honest, coach. Pretty Boy Floyd was knocking dudes out, was putting hurt on dudes, was breaking dudes down. He was offensively minded, and we did see Pretty Boy Floyd also get caught, chop Corley, they wobbled him and stuff like that. You saw the character of Pretty Boy Floyd. So I'm not going to compare Shakur. I have not seen the Pretty Boy Floyd version of Shakur Stevenson. I've seen the Money Made version of Shakur Stevenson. But when it comes to Pretty Boy Floyd, nah, my brother. Nah, let's go, coach. Come on. I know you're a Floyd fan, too.
Floyd Mayweather was more of a risk taker than Shakur. And
Pretty Boy Floyd, right?
Pretty Boy and Money May. Like, he took risks, but my whole thing is, I mean, he threw less punches as Money May due to his hands situation, but when he was Floyd, he still was very defensive, but he took more risks. But at the end of the day, I remember, because I was watching Floyd throughout his whole prime, I remember him getting criticized even when he was Pretty Boy Floyd. He was getting criticized his whole fucking career for being a runner and all this extra shit. And, when he fought Castillo, people thought he lost, and people this, that, and the other. So he's been getting crucified his whole career. And he ends up being 50-0. Now people are looking at him. And you still got people who say he ducked this guy, even though he fought more world champions than anybody with 50 fights or less. So I think in history to make that a Hall of Fame world champion at that. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. People like knockouts. So people genuinely go for the big puncher. But throughout history, we've seen most of the time when you got a big puncher versus an extremely good defensive fighter and they end up meeting, there's usually the defensive skilled fighter that wins that fucking fight most of the time, unless he gets knocked out with one shot.